to feel good. I like to feel evil. Oh.
Wait, Mr. Skeletor, I think I have something for you. Do you want to be an evil house that eats people? Of course you do. Let's go. Why 2-hour reviews? Because if it can keep you for 2 hours and make you want more, Steam gets to keep your money anyway. Anyway, this is Deck of Haunts. The premise, you are the heart of a haunted house and you draw people in to eat them. The introduction of each run introduces your awakening, and in a neat way also serves as your tutorial, as each card you play to start the game also tells you what you can do per turn. You eat people by either sending them into the Shadow Realm, or just by driving them insane, also known as the Cthulhu Classic. Or is it Cthulhu Classic? Anyway, doing so gives you essence, which you can use to grow your house and become a deadlier domicile of doom. Surviving a non-leap year February, or 28 days, leads to your victory. Getting hurt enough, which happens whenever you are discovered or hunted by humans, leads to your end. Yeah, it's pretty abrupt. I didn't smash cut to that, that's just how abrupt it is. We'll talk about that later, but for now, let's talk about how it's a roguelite deck builder and how it gets more complicated from there. So let's start by talking about our food and our enemies, the humans. The people of the haunting of the house on the hill, and where was I going with this? Humans. They'll wander in.
Hello there.
You can see how many you can expect on the upper right. You can also hover over them to see what traits they have. More on that later. Behavior-wise, they're going to explore. The icon over their head tells you what they're up to, and hovering over them tells you what door they're going to go through if they're moving around. Some of them can investigate. Others can use their gun to open doors.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Humans are a mixed bag. For the purposes of your sanity, people do not run away when a demon whacks them, or if they start hearing their mother ask them why they don't have a partner yet. The only thing that consistently sends them screaming is a corpse. And some humans have the ability to ignore that.
Oh, I'm going to be that guy right now.
But without exception, every one of them ignores an insane person. To them, a raving derelict is somebody else's problem, even though that might have been their friend. Hey, at least they're smart enough to start running when the bodies start dropping, because you could not pay me enough to go into a house that cuts me up and talks to me. On that note, try not to kill people in the foyer. It's bad for the carpet, and it gets real awkward. Trying to scare people when they come in, see what you've done, and turn around. Okay, I've talked a little bit about traits already, but I want to discuss a few more. Some human traits are negative, such as bleeder, humans who keep bleeding after you've wounded them. The good news is, with enough firepower, you can safely ignore a lot of traits. The traits run the gamut, from people who can only take 4 points of damage at a time to people who have the Holy Bible and thus cannot be scared or hurt as long as they are not alone. What are we saying here? So that's our problem. The problem we made ourselves because we want to eat. How do we solve it? The good news is, at night, the world is your oyster, and the world is the house you build around yourself. Your food enters through the front door and is greeted by your cat. Whether you get rid of them by bleeding them or making them cry, you get essence. 30 for blood, 25 for tears. Which is weird at a glance, but I guess it makes sense. When most humans see a corpse, they start running, and if they escape, they can deny you essence and limit your growth. Sanity out of the box is immediately affected by tension, which acts as a multiplier for sanity attacks, and it sensibly drops off after a while, which isn't a problem if you just one-shot them with visions of their grandmother as the throat goat. Okay, maybe it wasn't strange at all. How do you lose? You have life. Whenever people see you, you get hurt. Events can also chip away at you, and actual exorcists can just hang out and ruin your life. Yeah. There are a lot of small decisions to make. Some cards only work when a target is alone. Do you take out the healer, or do you wait a little bit longer to get an area attack? Do you build tension first or go for it now? Do you go for sanity or blood? There's a lot to think about, but the good news is the minutiae, or at least my biggest problem with stuff like this, is fixed. When you use a card and target someone with it, the card actually changes the numbers on its face, telling you how much you will actually do. And I, as someone who is very impatient and does not do math very well, welcomes this with open arms. There's also room for clever play, such as leaving people catatonic so you can target them with spells that affect things around them. It's important to remember that the insane do count as people, and thus can limit the use of some of your spells and can even protect people with Bibles. Which brings us to the strategic layer of a game where you are a haunted house. God, I love video games. I love this shit. This is my Def Jam Fight for New York. Anyway, the strategic layer of the game is during the daytime. That's when you plot, which is weird because I imagine you need to rest, but there ain't no rest for the wicked. Essence doesn't grow on trees, they got rooms to grow and blood to suck. Let's start with your deck. The cards, not the actual deck of your house, which we'll get to later.
These are the jokes.
If you played a deck builder before, there's nothing new here, nothing too surprising. Sometimes you get to pick cards, sometimes you get to pick rooms for your house, other times you get to upgrade, sacrifice health, and so forth. So, think about synergies, but don't be too concerned in the early game because there's a lot to unlock. Anyway, you also get to build a deck. So here's the USP, the unique selling point. You build a house, a little labyrinth for your snacks to walk through because getting them to work up a sweat releases natural seasoning. And it's important to have that organic flavor. The store-bought simply will not do. At the start, you have a simple layout and every day you get a few basic options. You can put one of 3 room types, living room, kitchen, and guest room. Each room costs more essence and the further away a room is, the more expensive it is to make. You place them in 1 block increments and can shape them however you want. You're a haunted house, the law is powerless to stop you, and powerless to help civilians in your house, but that's just realistic gameplay. You can move around rooms for free or just remove them. You can purchase room upgrades such as a weapon room. Those upgrades usually require a room with a specific number of blocks. It doesn't have to be a square, it can be a weird line. Those can be further upgraded, though sometimes the upgrade is more of a side grade, so do your reading. While it can be tempting to create a funnel, you will want to separate people for certain card effects or to limit their abilities, so creating an MC Escher house can work in your favor, though I like only having 1 entry point to the heart and making sure that entry point lets me bring my biggest weapons to bear. I don't have hands and can't put on clothes. Humans can't see me like this. To prepare for upcoming events, you can check the calendar on the upper left to see what's on deck. The world's got you on a schedule. Not even being a satanic heart can keep you from having to run in the rat race. You can plan around it, but in the 2 hours of the game I played, I didn't really need to. It's like if I perfect every test, I don't need to think about what I will need to get on the finals to pass. Later on in more difficult scenarios, I'll probably need to. But I'll see. But speaking of what I'll see, which is my idea of a great segue, let's talk the visuals. They're okay, serviceable, moody. The inability to spin your camera around to get a better look at things is a little strange. You can zoom in, but individual characteristics for humans I find lacking. They have different sprites and stuff, but they're not distinct enough to really define character. They just exist, which is fine for me because I'm seeing numbers and stats, not images, and it doesn't get in the way of that. But more importantly, the animations for the characters are distinct enough. People with flashlights are looking around, the scared hold themselves, the wounded start limping, I think. Even if you're primarily using the LS to target powers, that detail is very welcome and adds to the atmosphere of being a heart in a haunted house. The card art itself is distinct and moody, which is a word I'm probably abusing today. I think it's a small thing, but I love that the names match the damn art. It's not theoretical or metaphorical a sacrificial lamb, it is a literal sacrificial lamb. Pressure Haunts has a devil grabbing someone's head, and Midnight's Strike has someone falling while, hey, the clock isn't at midnight. 0 stars, literally unplayable. The house has nice little details, great enough for me to notice, and I'm the guy who only realized his cat has a nose spot yesterday. The bell tower though, however, gets in the way. I wouldn't put it to the right. Put it to the left. They use colors to differentiate rooms, which is neat. It would have been so easy to flatten the colors in an effort to make it extra creepy, but you're the monster. Your house isn't creepy to you. So while generally dark, the colors and lighting stand out enough so you can distinguish between rooms easily. But transitions between scenes is what kinda jumped out at me. Normally this isn't something I'd notice, but I did. It's like hard jump cuts all the time, like every new scene is a jump scare. The music is melancholic. It serves its purpose, which is enough to keep you going when the action gets slow or establish a background rhythm so you keep playing it. I also think the track list is limited, which was not a bother to me after 2 hours, but after 40 hours I might be singing a different tune. The sound doesn't hit for the most part. I'll be the first to admit that sound effects aren't my forte or even largely something I notice half the time, but they can feel hollow at times. If anything stands out, it's the sharpness of some sounds and the bone crunchiness of others. I mean, I really do like that. It's the violent equivalent of mouthfeel. The humans themselves have dialogue, but no sound for it, which I understand can get expensive. But even the Undertale would have been nice. It just something to make them feel a bit more alive and give you a bit more satisfaction when you make them scream while they're inside you. Crazy. In short, after 2 hours, I haven't really needed to pay that much attention to the gameplay yet. I have not been forced to make a spreadsheet beyond having a plan and probably paying attention to their traits sometimes. I didn't really need to do a lot. It's not gonna make you tear your hair out, but that's fine. I can probably get a lot further if I did a little bit of math, but The last word in this is that animations in general polish are lacking. When you lose, you just poof, no nothing, it just happens. The good news is, this isn't a game with good ideas done poorly. It is a game with cool ideas done well enough to be fun. I don't know if it'll be memorable after 40 hours, but I don't regret playing it after 2 hours, and I'm looking forward to play more. If you're looking to be the bad guy for a little bit and you want a deck builder, this is probably an okay bet for you to play. However, I cannot recommend that you go out of your way to play it if this isn't really your jam. Thanks for watching, thanks for passing by, you know what to do. I am Patinator and I will see you later.